rules for talks that I give is I need crowd participation. I don't care if you throw stuff at me, not the hamburger, sir. Please leave that on your plate. Doesn't look like you're going to throw it at me anyway. Nice diet Pepsi. It's not going to help. The name of our talk is Spanking the Monkey, How Pen Testers Can Do It Better. The Not Safe for Work edition, because I'll probably use the F word 3 or 4 times because I'm actually going to be doing a live demo while we're up here. We all know how well the demo gods treat us when we try to do this, but we're going to go. We also wanted to say thank you to Brackets because I don't know brackets. So my name is Justin Whithead. I work as a SEER team member. You can see our company logo plastered on everything. I have to support them because they're the ones who pay for me to come to these things and speak. So, yay. I work for a company called IntelliSecure out of Denver, Colorado. I originally started in forensics, so I have a different way of looking at pen testing than most people. I like to actually find out I like to find out once something has been broken, how it was broken. So that's kind of going to be a little bit of why this talk came about.
I'm Chester Bishop. I'm also out of Denver, Colorado. My job title keeps changing as, well, I'm self-employed and I can make it whatever I want. So right now I'm going with the guy who fakes it till he makes it.
We also have both of our Twitter handles up here. I don't feel I have enough Twitter followers. I don't even understand exactly how to use Twitter. Apparently neither does Chris Roberts. Just going to say that. All right, who this talk's intended for? Who's my super rock star pen tester out here? All right, awesome. Nobody raised their hand. Yeah, I don't get to tell anyone to leave. This was set up for junior pen testers. I want to get information to the guys who are just getting into the field. I see a lot of young faces out here. I want you guys to actually have a good time at conferences. The first couple of conferences I went to, shit was so far over my head that I just kind of sat there glazed over. So we're trying to bring it a little bit lower. Pen testers didn't know there was another way to do pen testing. We run into this a lot. Pen testers who have forgotten the old ways. So our super rock star pen tester out there who wouldn't raise his hand and only relies on Nessus and Burp anymore, this is just a little refresher for you. And those who are curious about what the tools do, what we did is we actually made a web page for this and made it to where tools couldn't find things. Tools that are awesome. So that's kind of what we're working with. This talk actually came around from last year at DerbyCon. I was sitting through John Strand's talk. If you've never seen this man speak, he is awesome. Go watch one of his talks. Look it up on SecurityTube. You will not be sad about it. But one thing he said really stuck in my mind, and the other co-author of this presentation. If you can be replaced by a tool, you will be. We are not cheap employees. And let's be honest, good security is hard to find, and we're not cheap. So any way a company can cut a corner by buying the new Blinky Light tool, they're going to do that. They're not going to think twice about getting rid of you. We need to show the value that we actually have. So this is a company stock photo. Back here in the back with the cigar is Chris Roberts when we worked together. Right there's Chester when he had hair and no beard. There's me in the front. It's the only time I wore a tie in the last 5 years. Why you're here, why you guys are sitting here, or at least what we hope you're sitting here for. We're going to teach you some of the ways to become a more stealthy attacker. IDSs will pick up any scanner you throw at them. I don't care how bad you throttle it back. You can't throttle it back enough for the speed that I type at. You also notice I do a lot of cut and paste in this thing because we don't have 3 hours for me to type everything out. We want to demystify the idea that scanners are a complete necessary. They're a necessary evil. They are not a be-all, end-all to everything. We also want to make you a more valuable asset, something that's not going to be replaced by a tool. Why are we here? We totally understand that there's a time and place for tool. Any tool that we talk about while we're up here today, we use. We're not going to say we don't use Nessus. We're not going to say we don't use Burp. We're not going to say we don't use SQL Map. Every time we go out on an engagement, Very rarely do you have the engagement that says, take your time, let me see what you can find. No, they hand you a Class A and 2 days to scan it. Everybody's had to deal with that out there? Yes, show of hands. All right. Why manual testing? Why does it work? What does it do? We're going to focus on web application testing, which is pretty much the 8th gate of hell to me, though I'm getting much better at it. But it's something we all have to do. It's a necessary evil of our job. Tools are constrained by a set of rules. First thing that you learn as a pen tester, rules are meant to be broken. Break every rule you can to break into a company, because you know what? That's what the bad guy does. Does the bad guy come in and say, oh, I can only be limited to this scope? Jason gave a great talk yesterday. He was talking about, that's what I'm talking about. Things are already flying. Jason gave a great talk where he was explaining the scope and like had his arms out wide. And by the time they had the whole scope done, his hands were closed. How many people have done pen tests like that? All right. Yes, 2, 3. Outstanding. Do any of you guys do pen testing? All right. Tools are an addition to testing. We don't want you to have them as the be-all, end-all to tools. We also don't want you to end up as a scanner monkey junkie. We're not going to say who this person is. I may have made a Twitter comment about him already, but the poor guy is out of a job right now, so I don't want him stealing hubcaps to get scanner results. All right, solutions. We're going to manually test some web applications for the following vulnerabilities. We're going to do cross-site scripting. We're going to do Sql injection, and we're going to do command injection. We picked these because they're the OWASP top 10. I keep getting older, and they stay the same age. All right, all right. Every single place we go to, we find these. How many years? I think Chester was actually looking it up. Only one of them has swapped. It's still on the list. One went from 2 to 3 in the last 10 years. 10 years these exploits have worked. Every new operating system that comes out, these exploits still work. Every web developer who designs something is coding this stuff in for us. It's a beautiful thing. Use it to your advantage. We did find a really cool quote. Use tools wisely. Security vulnerabilities can be quite complex and buried in monuments of code, or in mountains of code. In any case, most cost-effective approach to finding and eliminating these weaknesses is human experts armed with knowledge. That's what we want to impart on you guys today. We want to give you some knowledge to do this.
So we're going to start with cross-site scripting. Cross-site scripting is currently the number 3 thing on the OWASP top 10. I'll let you read here about what cross-site scripting is for a quick review. What we want you guys to take away the most is that when you're testing for cross-site scripting, the context is the key part. Kind of the same thing for Sql injection. Sql injection is currently the number 1 thing on the OWASP top 10. And the key takeaway is that you're testing for input that is not correctly sanitized. And then last but not least is command injection, also a part of the top 1 on, I see you guys laughing over here, at the top item on the OWASP top 10. And it's a part of the injection. Everybody loves the shell. We want to give a special thank you to Egypt and Metasploit for providing our I love shells caption.
All right, so first off, we're going to use Nessus, we're going to use Burp, we're going to use some more flying things at me. With that being said, everything that we did, we took it directly out of the box. Every place we seem to go to that says we have Nessus running, we're like, okay, cool. What scripts do you have running? What have you done to specialize it? What do you mean? So we did what most of our clients do. We took it straight out of the box, fired it up, and that's how we're going to run it. We did not do any special settings. We did nothing. So we ran it against our beautiful web page. You will see in a few moments. It took 11,000 requests. In our web page, we know we have command injection, we have Sql injection, and we have cross-site scripting. Nessus out of the box was not able to find a single one of those. We didn't hide them. Well, yeah, we hid them a little. It couldn't find anything. It sent 11,000 requests. What does 11,000 requests do to your IDS? All right, how many of you guys just turn those alerts off when they start? Yeah, here you go. Yes, thank you out there. Don't lie to us at all, Brad. I love you. All right, next. We ran SQL map. We did everything. We set the level to 5, the risk to 3, the highest you can set SQL map at. SQL map is an amazing tool. If you use it, you understand why it's such an amazing tool. It is something I use all the time. I'm learning more and more about it every day. The greatest thing about it is it's open source. These guys do this for the love of coding. Why anybody loves coding this much is beyond me, but thank you for them. They are the amazing people of this industry. With a SQL map, it ran 20,000 requests for me. Again, lit up an IDS like you wouldn't believe. So everybody also was unable to find anything in there. Next, we used Burp. We set Burp up straight out of the box again. Didn't change a single thing. Next one, Chester. All right, Burp straight out of the box. Out of the box did manage to find command injection, but why didn't it find the SQL injection and the cross-site scripting? We're going to get into that a little bit. We're also going to talk a little bit more about how to actually, or why you should actually get into tweaking the tools quite a bit. Without tweaking the tools, you're not going to find anything. The tools are great, but there's other things that you need to actually know how the tool works. All right, settings are important. Learn the settings of these tools. Take some time, read through the Nessus read through the Nessus webpage. There's a lot of information on it. There's a lot of great information on it to set up Nessus to be really powerful. Same with Burp. Tools make too many requests. All right, you're going to set off the IDS in a heartbeat. There's no way you can sneak by using one of these tools. I don't care how much you throttle it back, they just come too quickly. From here on out, since Burp actually found something, we're going to use Burp as a reference tool. So we're going to keep moving on. All right. We're going to go commando here. I'm going to keep my pants on. I really looked for tearaway pants yesterday so I could wear something underneath them, hopefully. But we're going to do everything with manual testing from here on out.
So, you guys hear me? So once again, we're going to start with cross-site scripting. We're going to focus on the reflected cross-site scripting. Like we saw earlier, the tools are going to send lots of requests and lots of probes. We only need one. But we don't even need that if we take a look at the website and understand the context and how it's set up. So if we switch over here to our website, we can see that we have a very angry monkey here. But our website is running PHP 5. It's using the latest HTML5, CSS 3, 4, one of those. If you actually write web pages, please don't hate us because we made it really basic. But if we take a look around and we're looking for cross-site scripting, so we'll take a look at the About Us page, and up here at the top, we'll see that it's loading a document. That could be something interesting for us later on. But we'll go back to our home page and our members page. So if we take a look at our members page, and we'll click on the profile of one of our members, up here we can see that there's a 42 in the URL, and there's also a 42 down here in the text. So when we're dealing with cross-site scripting, what we're looking for is places where the input can affect the output. So we see the 42, and we can try and see what happens if we add something to it to see if it affects the output. So we add it. We don't see anything in there too much, but let's take a look at the source page. And if we scroll down here to the section, then we can see that our div tag or bold tag didn't get added in there. So we'll move on there, and we'll go back to the login page, or to the login page. Everybody should know or be hopefully familiar with the idea that login pages are a great spot for some cross-site scripting. So what we're going to do first is we're going to just see what happens when we log in. No username, no nothing. We get an error message back. Nobody here with the username. So if we look a little bit closer at it, we can see that maybe there might be some spot for something after the username. So if we try logging in again with just a simple username that hopefully doesn't exist, we get back a little bit different error message. Nobody here with the username, and then a username. So we can see how our input affected the output of the web page. And then if we take a peek at the source information, and we come down here and see that that line is between a couple of div tags. So we saw that how our input affected the output, and now we see that the output that it produced is between a couple of div tags. So if we wanted to edit something on the web page, we would have to start by putting it in between some tags of some sort for HTML. So if we add a div tag and some text, or a tag and some text, and then send it to it, see what happens, we see that our new text showed up in its bolded format, just like we typed in. So this is actually proof enough that cross-site scripting exists on the website. It's not too useful though, however. So what we're going to do is we're going to try running some client-side JavaScript to see what happens. And now we have some cross-site scripting with running client-side text that won't show up in any log. So let's take a peek at why this was working, or why this wasn't working. So Nessus and Nessus and SQL Map didn't find it, but that's okay. That's not initially what they were written to do. But Burp didn't catch it. But why didn't Burp catch it? Burp didn't catch it because the tools use markers. So on this slide, we can see that in the highlighted area is the alert script, and then on either side of it are a couple of markers. So what Burp will do is it will send that string into its website, and then when it comes back, it will look for those markers on the output, and if it sees those markers, then it says, hey, this site's vulnerable to cross-site scripting, or whatever it was testing for. So what we did is we tricked it. We wrote our little PHP block here that says, take the input. If you see the caret there, then return it with 1337, which is why we were getting the username 1337 when we were trying to log in, no matter what we really put in there. And
All right, so next we're going to move on to Sql Injection. We're going to find it, we're going to exploit it. Sql Map uses this big long thing as it's running. We're going to use something similar. We're just going to make it smaller. Ladies, size does not matter all the time. This is 1 time smaller is better. Like I said, we're going to move into a demo again. Hopefully it all works. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out where the microphone is. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is move into here. I'm going to take a quick look. So I want to find out a little bit more what's going on the site. And like I said, I'm going to do a lot of cut and pasting because I don't think anybody has the patience to watch me type. So let's take a quick look with curl. Maybe. So we get back 200. We know that it's running an Apache client, PHP, everything that Chester was talking about before. So now we know for sure that what's running. Okay, so now let's take a look around the page. We're going to look for some place that looks like it could give us some information. So let's take a look over here. We have something, it's a text document maybe being called, so we're going to throw that in there real quick, see what happens. It gives us back a blank page. Might be something we want to come back to for blind SQL injection, but right now it's not our low-hanging fruit. So we'll go down here to the members page, or to the login page. Let's give it a quick try there. Yeah, not looking that great. So we go to the members page. Click through the members here. All right, we got something there. What I'm looking at is, okay, there's a 42 there. Go back to members. All right, I noticed something changing. Now I know, I've got a good feeling that this is being called from a database. I go just to double check. Let's see what old Chester has to say. Yep, it's calling from a database. So let's figure out. We're going to pick on Antonio since he's not here. Miss me. Oops. Yeah, this is why I don't type. All right, there's no user with that ID. Didn't give me back what I was thinking it was going to, so let's try it in this order. All right, I've gotten my SQL error. Apparently I can't walk around anymore. That's going to give me, right there, I know I've got SQL injection. I'm going to start searching through here. So let's figure out where I can put it and start getting some information from it. Oh yeah. So actually, as Chester just pointed out to me, we need to figure out which marker it was. So let's go back. Most people are going to figure it's going to be the tick. Nope, that didn't do it. All right, so I'm going to try the slash. All right, the slash gave me my error. That's what's causing the SQL error to happen. Where all can I put it? All right, let's come back over here. All right, I got the SQL error here as well. So let's take a quick look at what's happening behind the scenes. Go ahead. Again, I'm going to use curl, figure out what's going on. All right. So using the curl, I see that I got my same syntax error down here. I figured out exactly where it broke at, which was a slash right behind there. We realize this isn't super realistic, but one of the things that we truly have found is when we do this, we may not get this great of information. Can you highlight that for me, Chester? We may not get all this great information, but we usually do get something back, and that's usually our foothold. That's where we start at and start working out from there. It's great. It shows us the entire syntax for what just happened. Again, not super realistic. The other thing I was looking at is right down here. I'm looking at, did I get the exact same thing from the page? I'm going to add the next part in.
Okay, so we know that the site is vulnerable to SQL injection. So in order to get SQL injection to work properly, we have to fix our queries so that they also return properly. So what we're going to do for that is if we go up here to our website, and then we're going to add an always true statement. In this case, 1 is always 1. So we add that in, but we still get the error message. So go ahead. Yeah.
So one of the interesting things about this error message, when you look at it, first thing that we noticed is it actually removed all of our spaces. So what Chester's going to do next is actually add in brackets by doing %09, which is the coding for brackets. Tab, sorry. Totally letting Chester do this because I messed it up 4 times when we practiced this morning. All right, and it returns our true statement. It gives us back exactly what we were looking for.
All right, so now we're going to take a little bit closer look at what happened with the SQL injection statement and why it broke it. So as you can see up here, we have our SQL statement that we found in the comments of the HTML code. And I'll take this off here. So the first important thing to see is that we have a couple of fields from our database. We got the users, we got the ID, and we got the username. And then when you look at the backslash there, as Justin pointed out earlier, what it does is it turns that tick quote into a comment or an escaped character, and all of that text highlighted in red or underscored in red becomes the ID field. And then what it'll expect is another column name or something like that, and instead it sees Antonio. It doesn't recognize Antonio, so it returns an error message. When we went down here and corrected it, we added our or1 statement, and it says or1. Well, why that's true, so we'll just return everything that we can.
So one of the great things about this is it actually gave us about a lot of recon. We now know that there's multiple fields, so we're going to actually work on exploiting how many fields there technically are in this. So Chester's going to add in, again, cut and paste. We're not going to try to mess this up. All right, so we got something back from this. What we did is actually ran to see 1, 2, and 3 columns. It automatically noticed that there was something different than 3 columns. So it returned something for us, and we're basically exploiting the error messages, which is one of the greatest ways to exploit something. Let it tell you what to do. So next, we're actually going to add in a 4. And it returns true. Now, if we add in a 5, it's going to go ahead and tell us it's not right, because it'll actually tell you exactly where you need to be. This is all exploiting errors. Again, 5, number of columns difference. If we go back to the 4, bam, it's all there for us.
So as kind of an overview of this next step of what we're doing, so we know the website is vulnerable to SQL injection. So what we're trying to do is look through the database and see if we find something that's, well, more interesting than a username and an ID. And then, see where it goes from there. So as we just demonstrated, first what we want to do is find out the number of columns. Then what we want to do is find out the names of those columns. See if any of those column names sound interesting, and then see if we can get some data out of it. What's that? No, I'll get it. All right, so Justin's copying and pasting skills are better than mine, but luckily he caught it for me. So what we want to do first is spell the command correctly. But what we're doing here is we're running a union or a join command trying to compare the values of one database or one table to another, or even in this case the same table. But what happens is we don't know all the table name or all the column names. So we get an error message back saying that Twitter is missing. So if we add Twitter back to our list here of column names, then we can see that next time it returns an error message saying the password column is missing. What's that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so there's the password column, or at least the column name that was missing. So password column, that sounds like it could have something fun in it. So now we want to see what the actual value of that password column is. So for that, we're going to use this little polygon thing. And what it's trying to do is perform some type of mathematical equation on the data that it reads. However, it's going to come into an error. It's not going to be able to read the data from the password field because it's not really numerical. But the cool thing about what it does is when it sees the error, it's not going to just say, hey, this didn't work. It's going to tell you exactly why it didn't work. And in this case, why it did not work is because I don't even know what the hell this says. Let me think of a secure password you will never guess. 1 is not a numerical value. But guess what that is? It's the password. All right, so we got the password. You're using Antonio for this? Yeah. Okay.
So now that once we got the password, what's the next thing we want to do with the password? Anyone? Anyone? Awesome. Glad we're all on the same page here. So let's go back to our wonderful web page. And again, miss me. God, they're getting closer. It's getting a little nerve-wracking up here. Couldn't even find the login. I like the... Never mind, I'm not even going to say that out loud. All right. If I can remember how to spell his name. We actually did this wrong the other day. All right. We're going to pretend there's a checkbox and that the password's not in plain text. Our web editor, going to have to work with him. So, yes, we've managed to log in. We have defied the demo gods now 4 times with this talk. Let's all get a round of applause for this. You don't defy the demo gods that often. All right, so let's take a couple look at a couple other things here. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is how we were able to trick the tools into not showing or showing that the website was not vulnerable. So all we really did is we replaced the backslash and we replaced spaces with nothing or some more characters. And that was enough to trick the tools into believing that this website anyways was not vulnerable to all the stuff that we just proved was vulnerable. As an interesting side note, if anybody here is a web developer, don't do stuff like this to your web page. It works to trick the tools, but your website is still vulnerable.
All right, couple of things. Burp found it when we actually went through and set thorough and checked the REST style URL parameters. SQL map was still getting confused, and we're actually still working on trying to figure that out ourselves of why it was confusing it so much. SQL map's open source. Hey, get involved with the community. Maybe help us figure this out. Could be a great side project if you have, that much spare time between work and mowing your lawn.
All right, so finally we're going to cover some command line injection. Let's go get a shell. So we've been through almost all the pages on our website, and the only page we haven't really messed with so far is the Learn About Us. So as we showed earlier, this is loading a document from the file system or from someplace. We tested it out with the Sql injection, so we can be fairly certain that it's not loading this file from a database. So when it comes to command line injection, there's a couple of different ways to do it. We got some key markers here for it. The first one is going to be the semicolon, and then we can try a command and see if it works out. And it didn't work out. So the next little marker is a command or a pipe. Give that a shot and see what happens. Again, it didn't work out. And then the last one is the %sign. And I am going to not remember this part, so. So if we do the %sign and add in the 26 here, which all this is doing is HTML encoding the ampersand character. So we're telling telling the server behind this to go ahead and load this script up and then also run echo. And that didn't work. There it is. Extra one. There we go. Now I know what I'm looking for. So we can see that our website is vulnerable to command line injection, which Burp also told us. So echoing a command or echoing some numbers, or we can even just look at the file system and see all of our web files. But that's fun, but it's not quite as fun. So let's see if we can't see something more interesting, like the password file. And, well,
we at least programmed that well. Give it up for our HTML skills. We hid the passwords.
So that didn't work. What we can do, though, is try, maybe it doesn't take full pass. So we can try to work our way around it to get it. So here we're just basically, CDing up to the root and then back down to the etc password file. But that didn't work either. But as we're, typing in here, all of our normal Linux commands are working. And, so if there was something fun and interesting installed on the server, we could potentially use it. And what we're going to try is Netcat, because what server doesn't have Netcat installed on it? So we run our Netcat, and it's working, I promise, hopefully. And we're in. So we have, we have access to the server. Command line injection has worked successfully. I'm going to spell this right this time. And we got a shell. There we go. All right.
So one of the really cool things, we hope you guys enjoyed the demos. Trust me, you don't know how much I'm sweating up here right now that all those worked. One of the really cool things is the places I've worked at, when you come in to interview with us, you don't just interview with the CISO, because let's all face it, most of the CISOs we know have a CISSP and that's about all they know. You actually interview with us at the lower level. I will ask you questions like this, how can you set up Nessus to run better? How can you set up Burp to run better? And if you say you just, yeah, I'm pretty much done with you right there. If you come in and you can tell me how to set up Nessus, and then you can turn around and say, but I would do it this way, who do you think is going to get that job? Do you make yourself that much more valuable? Do you make yourself stand out? Yes. You're going to be the guy I look at. Next one. All right. We hope you guys feel like somewhat empowered monkeys right now. That you'll all run back and plug in Nessus and start running that again. I don't know where this picture came from, but it is pretty awesome. Because I'm pretty sure that's a cliff he's about to get thrown off of. Really want to say a really big special thanks. This is Antonio. He was the guy who helped me originally write this. He's taken the mission worldwide. He's taken it to the lowest common denominator. He's somewhere in Southeast Asia? No, South America. We don't even know where he is right now. But one thing we really wanted to do is have you all squeeze in here and get a group picture if you're comfortable with that, with everybody waving at Antonio. So everybody squeeze in. Don't all do it at once. Yeah, you guys are golden. All right, which one of you guys told Chris Roberts I was making fun of him? I've got 2 emails already. All right, get over here, Chester. All right. Who's got a selfie stick? Yeah, who's got a selfie Everybody smile and wave at Antonio. Shit, I can't even keep this thing still. I'm like a drunk monkey up here. All right, there we go. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys.
Oh, we're not quite done yet, even though I said thank you.
Anyway, special thanks to Antonio. The guy is great. If you ever get a chance to meet him, we call him the Spaniard or Antrolio. He has the thickest Spanish accent, and if you would have seen this talk when I gave it with him, we almost needed an interpreter. Next.
So one of the cool things is if you're worried about learning this, don't be. If we made it look either super easy or super awesome or, oh my God, I'm never going to figure this out, don't worry about it. Like Justin said, him and Antonio wrote the talk, gave it a couple of times. Antonio decided to go travel the world for some reason. So I stepped in, and I was able to pick this up after about 6 hours of studying it. So if it's something you're worried about learning, it looks super difficult, don't worry about it. It's not. Just take your time, read through it, and to help you out, we've actually made some improvements.
So Chester, being the guy that'll actually pay for stuff, has opened us up a GitHub. Yeah, everybody get your cameras out, take a picture of that, because that's pretty awesome right now. We've taken the time to put everything up there. We have everything. We have the website. We have all the pages that we found the information on. We seriously want to get the information to you guys. We want you guys to have as much fun with this as we've had. The other thing we ask is in the comments section. If there's something more you want to learn about, I actually really enjoy doing these somewhat teaching talks. Because I don't have to sit there and pimp some new piece of gear or something like that. Let us know. We're more than interested to sit down and actually try to come up with a talk to help people out. Anybody have any questions? So one of the questions that actually got asked of me at DerbyCon was, couldn't I do all of this in Burp and just put it in Repeater? Well, yes, you can do all that in Repeater, but the whole point of what we were talking about is when you install it all in Repeater, how fast does it send it out? Again, the IDS finds it, you're done. You've already been found. You all saw the speed I type at. I'm actually going to be working on a program that will work to show how slow people can type. I think it's actually a skill to trick IDSs. Again, here's the three of us up here. If you give Antonio some love, I think, like I said, he might be in South America right now. Again, Chester and I would love to have you guys as Twitter followers. I'm about it. Boring as shit to watch on Twitter, but still looking for more people, and feel free to reach out to me on there.
Now we're finished.